Yeah, so thanks for having me, first of all. And my name is Craig Frehlich, and I've been a teacher for over 30 years. And throughout those 30 years, I think one of the most important things that any teacher wants to do is to get students to lean into their learning. And so I've pursued that throughout my entire career. Yes, so everyone had something they found new to do during the pandemic. And so I wrote a book called Immersive Learning, a practical guide to harnessing virtual reality superpowers in education. Uh, Also, I've started up several VR labs. So, first off, in 2018 in Calgary, a school got a huge chunk of money, and I started a VR lab there. Then we moved to Singapore and we rinse repeated at the international school in Singapore. We slowly started a VR lab there. And now at my school here in Vancouver, Canada, we have quite robust VR lab with over 25 headsets, and it's hustling and bustling all the time. Yeah, I just did one related to the notion of time travel. So, one great immersive interactive feature of Zoe is that you can have a scene. Maybe it's a forest with a log cabin and a beautiful fire outside with some wood. And then with the click of a button, you can design it so that the student or the learner clicks a button and you can jump them into a new scene. So we can do time travel here. So we could do a before and after situation. If we're learning, for example, about forest fires and how do you prevent forest fires, we could start them out in a scene where everything in the forest is smoldering. There's smoke, there's remnants of burnt trees. There might be also clues and remnants of the log cabin that was there, but most of it's been gone, devastated due to a forest fire. So the student can survey the area, look around, and then they click a button and they can go back in time and they can look at the original location. What was going on there? Were there any clues in that scene to say that something triggered this fire and therefore, we want to try and teach students to mitigate, to minimize these sorts of mistakes so that forest fires don't happen. So time travel has been one of the ones, thanks to scene jumping, that I've started to develop a library of events like this. Yeah, I think we know a lot as educators about the difference between passive learning versus truly active learning. And in truly active learning, whether that's in the physical classroom or in a virtual world, you get to think deeper about the situation, the scenario. Often you're given manipulatives and you have to do something with those manipulatives. And so I find Zoe to be highly effective at putting students into a real world situation. For example, if I'm a language student who's just starting to get the hang of French, I might go into the French cafe or a French restaurant that's designed in Zoe, and on the tables, I could have French vocabulary words. And then I might invite the student to go up to the counter and they have to pick up like a plate and then go to the table that has the French vocabulary word plate and drop it down. Just its ease of use. I've used, and you've alluded to this. I have my own podcast, and I've got over 118 episodes, and the podcast is titled "VR in Education." And so I've interviewed a plethora of people, and there are more and more no-code or low-code VR platforms starting to prop up to allow people to build their own virtual world, but none hold a hat to how easy it is, like Zoe, to create these more immersive interactivities. You simply pull up one of your controllers, and on the controller, at the click or toggle of a couple buttons, you can make the assets in the world have gravity. Whereas in other no code, low code platforms, that's not the case. Yeah, I'm starting to wrap my head around and appreciate the mixed reality feature. Zoe has it as well. So lots of people who don't quite understand or aren't really excited about fully immersive virtual reality where you're in a scene or an environment and you can't see the outside physical world. This is a bit uh, too big a jump for many. Whereas if we can start them out in the physical room or the physical classroom and bring 3D assets and objects that behave and interact with the physical world, that's a baby step for many, which I think, we need to get fully immersive, leave the real world and enter the immersive VR world kinds of thing. Yeah, again, most teachers understand the qualities of a good lesson. So you're going to deliver a small amount of content, whether that's through a video or a PowerPoint slide, like you alluded to. But then the bulk of your lesson for a teacher is often guided practice as well as independent practice. So practice, practice, practice. And right now, a lot of that practice happens by questions in a notebook or in on a worksheet or, practice multiple choice questions. And we know already that varied practice is more engaging, but also makes the learning stickier. So I invite teachers to think about right now, are they varying their practice? And could VR or experiences like Zoe be another tool in their tool belt to add an additional variant in how students engage in content in order to practice it?